Hello, Internet. Thank you once again for joining me to talk all things vertical drama. I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Sal Paskowitz, who you may not know the face, but you will definitely know some of his work. So, Sal, please could you introduce yourself to the audience?
Well, hello, audience. It's nice to meet you this morning. I'm in California, and it's a little chilly this morning. It's almost like your world in England. It feels very England right now, Jen. Well, I've got a lot of like things. Every screenwriter has lots and lots of little things that he's doing, and I've done some little things. I just did a wonderful short film that just did the festival circuit called The Big Everything with Bradley Whitford and James Wolk, which is something that I wrote and directed because at the time the writer's strike was on. So I wasn't allowed to write, but I could direct. So then so I got this lovely little piece about somebody who goes to a bar out of kind of nowhere. He walks into a bar and then he meets a person and it slowly dawns on you, this is like heaven. It's a heavenly bar after. And the person is the human version of what was his dog. And he goes, Buster, I love you, Buster. Oh my God, I can't believe it. The Buster goes, I hate you. I know who you are. You're that guy. I hate you, Joe. You're that Joe guy. And he's like, Buster, why do you hate me? He goes, well, because you never let me go out and chase cars. What's this once a day eating stuff? And then one time you put my nose in my own, I can't even talk about it. And he goes, Buster, the reason I did because you had this thing called endocrine, whatever. I forget the thing now.
Yes.
He gives Buster kind of a higher view of what it is and I was just trying to protect you. I loved you. The vet said if you get out one more time that, you could die, and so they're reconciled. And then he looks down the bar and he goes, hey, Buster, who's that? And Buster says, that's God. So he comes up to God in the same way. He's upset with his terrible life, and then God gives him a higher. So anyway, that was called The Big Everything. I loved it. And it was so great to direct Bradley Whitford because he was so great at he understood exactly what we were trying to go for at every moment during the process. And one time, like as a director, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to evaluate performance. And if you can't evaluate performance, you really can't be a director. If you can't imagine a scene in your head, you really can't be a writer. You can't be a screenwriter if you can't look at an idea and imagine, okay, now what does that scene look like? But you can't be a director unless you can evaluate performance. That's your job. But his performances were great every single time. So I finally I whispered in his ears, I said to Bradley, can you just pretend that I gave you like a really great director's note? And he went, in the front of the whole crew, he went, oh my God, Sal, that's incredible. Thank you so much. I'm taking that note. I'm going to use that forever. I'm going to use that with Aaron Sorkin. That's amazing. So anyway, that was just a treat to do. And like I said, I've done a lot of little things, but the main thing that I'm kind of known for is Age of Adaline, a movie I wrote in 2016. Which, what can I say? I'm as much a fan of that movie as all the fans. I love every bit of it.
And it was a sweeping romance, and
yes,
there still aren't many of those made, which is how obviously we're going to come on.
Yeah. It was the last sweeping romantic drama female lead ever in the Age of Adaline. It was the last one. I just, it's like when you, as a writer, when you write something that then becomes like an international, you become a brand. Your brand then becomes that. And you don't really get such an opportunity like, oh, I've got this great, amazing, like horrifying horror movie to do.
Yeah.
And your agent says, that's not your brand. Put that away. You don't get it. You tend to stay in that area. For me, I love my brand. I absolutely love drama. I love like magical reality of humanistic ideas. Are your telomeres, are they sensitive to a lightning strike? And if they do get a lightning strike, do you live forever? I mean, like all of these like human mystical things. Do twins really like hear one another's thoughts. You know what I mean? Like I'm writing something now. Oh, well, it's all done. I'm going to be directing it called Imagine. And it's
Oh.
about an imaginary friend who has an imaginary friend. And that's what I'm going to do cinematically. And so I just love all of this human magical stuff. So I when I my wife said, "Hey, have you seen this stuff, these things?" And I started to like watch them. I was like, "This is everything I love. This is like drama, this is melodrama, this is like all of the pieces were there, all of the
Mm.
great things that attract me to cinema were there." I felt that there was a little parts, I'm gonna say this gently, that you could improve on
Mm.
some of the cinematic way that you could tell some of these stories.
Mm.
And then it turned out that I had a very good friend named Nicole Mattox. So that helped to like get the whole thing going.
So could we expand upon that, please? Because
Well,
that's
well, here's
quite crucial.
it's a great expansion. Um, I just love telling the story. So I have a script, a wonderful script about a father. Listen to this, about a father whose daughter is a pretty heavily autistic, pretty heavily special. And one day he saw her in a pool. They were playing pool basketball and she was being made fun of. The kids had asked, "Hey, can you come play with us?" And she was like, "Yes, I'd love to play." And they asked her just so that they could make fun of her. And it was just so heartbreaking and true story. And this fellow, Gordon, he decided from that moment he's going to build a theme park for his daughter. So in San Antonio, he raised 200, 400 million, whatever it takes to make a theme park. And he
Whoa.
built a theme park called Morgan's Wonderland, and it exists. And when I first heard about it, when these producers brought it to me, when I first heard it, I was like, stop. That's the one I will. That's the one I want to write for you guys. So I immediately wrote it. So in the process of writing it, we flew out to San Antonio and I met the people involved. One of the people was this wonderful, magical woman named Leslie Mouton. And she ran all of their PR and press and media. She was a media person herself. She had been like an anchor. So she was just amazing. I fell in love with her. She was just such an incredible spirit. And then later, about a month or two later, I was back in LA and she goes, "Would you meet my daughter? She's an actress and she's doing the LA thing. And, just, I would love for you just to talk,
Mm.
shop with her." So I went to Starbucks and you guys think, you watch Nicole and her films and you think that she's, this amazing. She's even more amazing in real life. She's just so wonderful. And so she sat down and we had this great meeting and she was so enthralled with the whole storytelling process. And I said, "Hey, well, I'm working on this short film. There's nothing real. I mean, I would be happy to cast you and something, but there's nothing really, you know." And she's like, "Well, I'll do anything. I'll help out in any way." And I was like, what a wonderful thing to say. Instead of like, "Oh, well, I'm only interested in that." She's like, so she helped. She helped. She managed the whole set. She got all of the extras together. She was just just completely irrepressible. And then a year later, I ran into her and I said because Kristen had showed me these things, my wife, and I'm like, "That's Nicole. There's Nicole." So a year later, she had completely conquered this entire new enterprise.
Yeah.
So I found myself drawn to it, saying, "Well, what if I just did movies in like that?" Like actual movies.
Mm.
And then I approached her and I told her the idea and she was like, "Oh yeah, that sounds so great." And then she basically got everyone else involved. And she continues to on our next one called The Layover, which is going to star her and but she knows exactly who to cast. So
Yeah.
she got Seth Edeen and she got Molly Anderson and she got Haley Lorelei and I had never been exposed to these actors because I'd been in the cinematic side, but I was like, "Oh, this sounds great." Little did I know that they were like it was like a dream casting group that's in Step by
Mm.
Step, and I just if going back to directors who really their job is to evaluate performance, it's incredible, these actors. Their ability to perform is just literally off the charts. And it's just because they have been at the acting gym, working out their acting muscles literally all day, every day. So when I got on set, and it was just a 7-day shoot. And I mean, it wasn't like a traditional 3 weeks for shooting a feature. They were ready to go, and they just completely killed all of their lines. And some of the performances, I'm in awe about. But anyway, so did I answer? What was the question? I
No, it
forgot.
was justified. It was basically, you had said, I know this person called Nicole Mattox, which was going to
Yes.
lead into how
Yes.
did you end up that the first vertical you made has Nicole Mattox?
Yes.
And you have just answered that. You've just saved me a lot of questions. It's perfect.
Yes.
So with step by step then, once you've decided I want to make a vertical, I kind of know the answer. I'm going to ask the audience, did you write it? Did you direct it? And also, finally, how did you go from just I'm making a vertical to actually I'm going to have an app as well that I'm going to put it on?
Well, yeah. Yes, that's a great story. So basically, the other thing that is so much that, and I mean no disrespect at all to any community, but every community has its strengths and its weaknesses. One of the weakness now in the traditional cinematic, whatever we want to call it. It's so great. People call it the horizontal. And I thought that
Horizontal.
it's
Yeah.
amazingly cute. It's like, oh, you mean the horizontal? I was like, yeah. But the trouble with the horizontal world is when I first kind of started out and I had done Age of Adaline, the river was like this big running. The river of millions and billions of dollars. And then but the river for development was like right about here. Now the river of money that's flowing through the streamers, and it's just stratospheric. It's so much more. But development is like, boo, it's just gone. It's like, I don't know, if you talk to your traditional
Yeah, that's what I've been
Hollywood.
told here. Development logjam takes a very,
It
very long
is,
time.
oh my goodness. So it is literally, Jen, it's literally like, hurry up, get the script done. That's your job because you're the writer. Get it done. Now hand it off and wait 10 years or if you're lucky, 5 years, so because you have to there's so many pieces that they have to put together. Like I've got a couple of projects now that are at Apple, but they're looking for directors. And I got other projects that have very well-established directors, but they're looking for talent actors, and this just goes on forever and ever. And you have lovely, lovely lunches at the Soho House and discuss your things. But I want more than lunches. I'm here to do stuff, and that's the wonderful thing about verticals is that you can go into production and then go into another production and another one. So I found that all of the tools that were stopping us in the horizontal world really don't exist in the vertical world. It's really like, hi guys, it's me, Sal. Okay, these are the scripts we make, and it's so great. The scripts it's literally a family affair because it's like my wife and daughter. I coach, I creatively produce kind of like, but they do the scripts, and then we get to Nicole and Seth, and it's like, oh, Seth, you're going to do this one, and Nicole, you're going to do this one. And then we make the movie, and then lovingly enough, it just goes right to the app and everyone can watch it. And it's just like, how many middlemen are kind of cut out of the process? I don't even know, 100. I mean, like, it's so amazing to think that, the theater is just right here. Here it is. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it was within our capacity to do, me and my partner, Tim Nelligan, who's a wonderful, because you have to have the creative guy, and then you have to have the business guy. So I found my just a absolutely great partner. And then he had a friend who built all these things and did them
Wow.
very, very professionally, very, very because there are apps and then there are apps. And we just wanted to make sure that we were an app,
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I know what you mean. I have to ask, where did the name Super Punchy come from?
Love that you asked that question. That was my wife's. Titles are hard. Titles are really hard. I mean, you think of like, venture verticals or or something, and it's like it's so derived, and it's so my wife was trying to think of an idea. She tells me the story. She had presented it to me and Tim at the same time, and she was thinking, like, the way she says it is like, I was trying to think of something, and like, what is like really super punchy.
So clever.
Yeah, and then she said, "Wait, I'm trying to find the like a extraction of the word super punchy when super punchy is like really good." And me and Tim immediately were like, that's it, super punchy." Because I mean, it has strange connotations. Like you're walking around and you feel punchy, like, it's like, so yeah. That was it. It was just a lovely abstraction that just, I don't know, it just fit. We'll see.
So once you've decided to make a vertical, how quickly did you decide that you wanted to do the kind of the step sibling romance? Because obviously there's
I
lots
had
of different tropes and ideas, and it's kind of how did
I
you
had
narrow what
I
it
had
was?
all I had always thought of that trope. Again, I'm always going back to like the interesting humanistic conventions, the tropes of human beings. Like what would happen if somebody was locked away and it was actually the mother-in-law that the daughter had never met and that he had never met, and would he fall in love with her the same way as the daughter because the mother-in-law is so much like the daughter? It's like some
Mm,
of these like human situations beyond the craziness of like somebody's a billionaire. It's like, okay, that what what inherent drama is created when somebody is a billionaire?
mm,
When you really think about it, close to nothing other than the fact that, it's a wish fulfillment. But
mm,
I've been thinking about, as a writer, you always think about different scenarios. That's the word I'm looking for. And one of those scenarios was step siblings. I told Chris that forever. I was like, there's a Romeo and Juliet step story out there somewhere.
mm,
Because as a normal human convention, we meet people, we fall in love. And if we're a little bit on the older side, we may have adult children.
mm,
And suddenly it's like, hey, meet this person. Hello, I'm your sister. I'm your brother forever. And
mm.
and that's just like a label we immediately press upon them. They don't know anything they know nothing about one another. They have no connection. They're not, you know. Uh, did you ever see the movie Clueless
Yes.
years ago? Now that one was kind of icky. That one, they knew each other. They had kind of grown up together.
Mm,
So there's definitely, but for me, like, to be put in this place where suddenly it's like, hello, you, nice to meet you. Oh, I'm supposed to have Thanksgiving with you. And oh, here, I've got this Christmas present and I know just what you wear. So that in that little like aberration, I
mm.
saw drama and I saw taboo and all those things. But you look at it this way, it's horribly taboo. You look at it this way, it's like, come on, it's much ado about nothing. It's
Yeah.
literally nothing. So I'm like, that was perfect. So
I have to ask, I mean, Nicole's character is fantastic in it. And the kind of the contrast is set up that we think, she's the workaholic, he's the laid back kind of
dude,
dude who's like doesn't really care about anything. How quickly, and obviously that it's not that simple, because this is well done, people. But how soon did you decide that? Because I think this is one of the things people are going to really enjoy watching it. So obviously I've watched a lot, and Seth and Nicole have worked together a lot. And I think you'll have seen kind of versions of Nicole's character here before, but I've never seen Seth play a role like this because he
I know.
comes from, it's a very standard type of role in verticals for men.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's so nice seeing him get to say something different. So how soon did you decide to do that and sort of play off that?
Well, it was in the development of the script and then the development of my friendship with Seth, where
Mm,
I really started to create a real character of Parker. Like
mm,
yes, he was down there as the dude, but Seth is so up here, he's kind of the same. But
mm,
then when you take him down here and get him into like some of that subtlety region, he becomes delightfully unique.
Mm.
And when I was talking to him and I was kind of like, we were kind of like, planning and strategizing. I was looking at him closely that he's, probably disturbingly staring at him. And I began to see like this subtlety of character, and I really wanted to keep him there. And it was amazing how quickly I could lock him into that character. And, my secret sauce was just like, I would tell him like, don't act. I don't want you acting. I want you to just say the words. And by him just saying the words, he would say the words as Seth. And that person had so much subtlety in him. Like, didn't you find some of the things that he did were just so, like when he said like, what's all this? And she goes, it's romantic dinner. And he goes, don't say that. And she goes, why? You're gonna have many romantic. I thought we weren't doing that. Like some of his stuff was just so like within that subtle boundary. Just were, just amazing. It just blew me away. It's just like he literally, when people watch this, I'm so proud of like the way that he really made the whole movie feel like a real thing. Like even beyond horizontal, like it feels like real, like a real thing. Like he's like a real guy. And I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that wonderful delivery. And then of course Nicole, I mean, she's just, I mean, when that place when she's in the bathtub and she goes, I love you, that's okay. You don't have to say it. I mean, like I could as a person being an actor, I could try that 10,000 times and I could never get the subtlety. And most importantly, see, for me, it was all about this character, Jen, was all about vulnerability. In the beginning, that's her. You don't see her again. She's gone. That person is gone, but she is capable of that. So to me, coming from cinema, like when you look at, you've seen Jaws, of course. The one thing about Jaws is you have to have that first scene. It's horrifying. Sometimes I think Spielberg went too far with that scene. I mean, like it's not even the visuals, the audio is horrible. I mean, it's I could never direct a scene like that. I'd start crying. I'd be like, somebody help her. But one thing that Spielberg did is once you had that scene and then it's, hey, sheriff, somebody's parking in my drive. Don't worry about it, Ned. I'm going to get that guy out. But, he should get a ticket. Like, it sets the tone of the whole thing. So now, as this country bumpkin sheriff is talking to Ned about parking, above us is this static of tension and anime, the same thing with them. I needed to have her cut loose and be this unbridled, so that when now the rest of the movie, no matter how much it's like, oh, don't even look at me and don't say that. You realize like, this is what we're capable of. This is this is really what's lurking underneath. So when she like gives off some of this vulnerability, you realize that, the depth of what she's capable of being that vulnerable. That to me was like, that's the kind of stories I want to tell. And there's no secret there. I'm not doing anything that anyone else couldn't do. Just, you have to fall in love with movies at 7. You got to stop following the robot. It's so funny. I said to Seth and Nicole, and I'm like, what is that robot? The name of that robot that's like above us and watching everything and telling us what to do. And Seth's like, I don't know what you're talking about. No, I'm like, come on, the robot that's doing it. And he goes, you mean the algorithm? I'm like, yes, the algorithm. I'm like, that's it. So I think as a company, you start listening to the robot and the robot starts taking you down these rabbit holes of all these words like engagement and all this other stuff. And then the robot says, hey, you got this peak when you slap somebody. So if you slap them again, you will get a double peak.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to do that. And then these humans are saying, very good, robot. Let's do exactly what you say. And so I can't even think that way. I don't even know how to. And luckily, Tim, my partner, feels exactly the same way, that maybe there'll be a market for us. Maybe there won't. But we are a wholly human company for humans, thinking as humans, because that's that's the only way I know how to think. I don't know how to.
I love it. Now, I have to say, one of my favorite things, interesting you talking about humans, is some of the little bits of slight everyday life that you put in that really amuse me. So I really like just things like she wants Wi-Fi. She can't find
Right.
the Wi-Fi. And that
Yeah,
becomes like a bargaining thing of if you do this, you'll let me
yeah,
have the Wi-Fi code.
right.
And there's repeated meetings, which
Yeah.
it's revealed that, dressed for the top, not at the bottom, which is very entertaining.
Exactly. Well, everyone does. It's so awesome. That's one of the that's one of the lexicons that has creeped in. I think only in the last couple of decades is kind of like we started cinema with hark, there goes the. That's not people, but even like in the 70s and 80s, somehow all phones work perfectly. All lights work perfectly. And then it's only like in the aughts and the now, really the now, even movies like Magnolia, yes, we're wrenching our hands, but everything's still, it's only now it's kind of like oh, I'm on an Android phone. I can't take you. Well, I'll never see you again. You know what I mean? It's like the
Yeah.
days of I was rewatching before sunrise and before sunset. Such great movies, such great romantic, just iconic movies. But the days of like, oh, I didn't give you my phone number, therefore the plot is we never saw each other is gone.
Yeah.
That's
Yes, there's a whole load of meet cute, or that's the reason they lost touch that's gone. That
yes,
doesn't
right.
work
That's
anymore.
all done, and it's interesting when you think about it from a story perspective. It's like,
Mm.
yeah, those are gone. Like, why weren't you there that day in Hungary? It's like, well, Google Lens person, there she is, done, 5 seconds or whatever. Like Google search. But yeah, so I got very much into that minutia, and I also, even in our style, I got into it too with the lovely accidents that happen. I mean, Haley just decided to turn Seth around and hop on his back. That's not in the script,
Yeah.
and I just encourage like everyone just like, I want you to do it's so funny. When we were first setting this up, my director of photography, Eric McCambridge, who is just amazing. He is just Jen. I got to tell you a quick Eric story. But when we were setting up, we were doing all these things. I was telling him all of these ideas that I had to make this movie, and he was like, "This sounds great. This sounds great. You're gonna love this." He says, "This sounds great." So what does the client say about all this?
Yeah.
And I didn't even understand what he was talking about. I was like, what? He goes, well, yeah, I love your ideas. I love that you want to do all this stuff and you have all these ideas, but like, what does the client say? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm the client. I don't know what other, I don't know what other,
Oh, that
like,
must have been a beautiful moment for Eric.
well, Eric was on fire after that because yeah, I mean, and all the cast was like, there's no one like sitting in like saying, oh, make sure that he doesn't move this way and that this hair is, but my quick wonderful Eric story, and it sets the stage of like it really paints the picture of what the entire shoot was like. So we had the rain fountain, and what's great about these productions, Jen, is that you make them for a couple $100,000 and you move on. So you're I love that they're like that because you have to use your mind.
Mm.
You have to say, there isn't a nightclub. Okay, well, that little part nobody's seen of the house. And if we put him here and
Mm.
put a water closet picture and put this, and this could be theoretically. So it's like you're creating little dioramas. You're saying,
Yeah.
okay, well, let's tilt it here and no one will ever see beyond the frame here. So it's just wonderful movie making. But there was one moment where we had all of this, we really went for it on the rain, and the rain was coming down, and it was, Jen, for some reason we were doing a movie about warm and paradise and Malibu and all that. There was a cold, frozen storm that came through. And Nicole, she's this little thing. And I was like, listen, everybody, I need a warm room. I need blankets, because they were going out in that rain. And it was like 48 degrees. It was like, it wasn't California like warm. It was frozen and like would do it, and they would want to do another take. They were like, Sal, do you have it? I'm like, I have it, don't worry. They go, no, I think we should do one more. I'm like, my God, Nicole would literally, she was literally like quaking. So anyway, I wanted to get the camera close. I said, we're here, I want the camera right up in their faces, Eric. And we're doing, and Eric looks at me and goes, what are you talking about? I'm like, I want like us to like be right there, so we're tracking handheld, right? And he goes, I don't have a wet rig. I don't know what you're doing. And I'm like, we don't have a wet rig. We don't have a, the cover for the.
Mm.
And he goes, no. And I'm like, shoot. Oh, well, let's just put it on tripods, on sticks, and just try to get it long, and we'll make sure they don't move too much. Oh, the bummer. Anyway, so then I went off to like do something, have coffee or something, and Eric comes back. He goes, okay, we're ready to roll. I'm like, great. He goes, okay, I built a wet rig.
Wow. Yeah. That's that can-do attitude, though. It's amazing, isn't it?
It was
We'll make it
so
work.
awesome. That's what Step by Steps production was. Me and Haley were talking yesterday, and she was just like, Sal, there was nothing. It was like summer camp. It was my favorite production I've ever been on, hands down, in my life. And then it was so great because like then it was okay. Well, now we have to get the sound in the rain, in the boom.
Mm.
And the sound guy says, don't worry, I'm going in the rain. And I go, but what about your equipment? He goes, it'll be okay. I'm going in. If Eric's going in, I'm going in. So it was tremendous. And yeah, and it was so funny too when me and Seth had a little Instagram thingy. Seth was like, yeah. And then I went on my next set and I was like, no. And I'm like, they're probably listening. You can't.
Yeah, no, it is. I think this is the thing. Yes, that there's a wide variety of experiences on set, shall we say.
Exactly.
I want to ask a little bit about the supporting characters, because you mentioned a bit. I particularly want to talk about the parents and the matching outfits.
Right.
I love the matching outfits. It's like sort of beach pajamas that they're both.
We just went for it. We were just like, it's to me, there are various dials in a film. When you're cooking, there's, you got your salty, you got your sweet, then you got your like savory, right? And then that last style is they call it umami, which is, they don't even know what it is. It's just like earthiness. It doesn't have kind of a mushroomy, kind of thing. Well, in movies, we have our dials too. We've got plot and we've got character. And how much do you move those dials? Is your character going to go so much out of character? And then the other thing we have is tone. That tone is our umami. Tone is that one thing you whoa, be very careful, or your dish is gonna it tastes like plants. It tastes like mushrooms. Tastes like I'm eating like dirt. And you got to be careful. That's the one dial like you don't want to treat. But because I was doing a vertical, and because I could play a little more, I moved that dial a little bit. I moved it between heavy drama, where literally she's just like I try and I just feel the walls are closing in, and and then I just ratchet right up to the matching flamingo, PJ, like looking. I found that this was I was capable of doing this in this play, and I liked it. It was a very freeing thing. We'll see how people, react to it. But I didn't want to just hem myself in and say, oh, okay, this is kind of a larf. Okay, this is kind of like serious. And I wanted to just constantly swing. And the format lends itself to it too. Like there's so much great stuff about verticality. I don't really necessarily think that I feel like you should almost go and enjoy your other big boxes of vertical and think of them as like, you're going and doing and watching your Marvel DC kind of stuff. But then the other stuff is kind of like your A24 stuff. And
yes, 100%.
That's kind of like what I want Super Punchy to kind of fall within that thing, where one doesn't preclude the other, and you can still have fun with both. But for me, I just wanted to play and that vertical format. I was saying I don't really feel like I'm in that vertical business, I'm almost in a different business, which is like, hey, it's kind of cool. It's this, and I'm just making movies like that. I'm not really like, and making movies this way is really an interesting way, Jen, because it no longer think about it. Like, okay, you've got the standard, 185 or even 235 or 237, some of these wide formats. And then you have your characters, and then you have this vista. And that's great for Lawrence of Arabia. But a lot of times, you've got a standard, drama, and then your characters are like this. Well, in vertical, it's just the character. It's literally like her shirt and her cufflink, and and her thing. It's literally like a slide of your character of Tess or whoever it is. It's just them. And to me, that was very interesting.
I have to ask, because one of the things I think we've always loved as vertical fans is that we kind of watch people and can see that they're amazing actors. But then what's really exciting is then when you bring in something of your quality that they can show it. And Hayley Lohrli's extraordinary in this.
Incredible.
I love her character so much.
So much.
She's just kind of off the wall, but not far enough off the wall that it's too much. And there's some wonderful bit at the end where once she's sort of been dispatched for this job, but then comes through. It's just brilliant. I adore it so much.
Yes. And it's like, again, that's up and down, which is like, oh no, she's not like that. She's smart. Given the opportunity, she's great. And I love when she walks in, she goes, "I'm back." And like the little, her little suitcase seems to follow her like a little mouse droid. And she's just magical in that way. And she says, "I'm back." And then she goes, "What's happening?" Like the way she could just flip on a dime. She's wonderful. And then Molly was just
it's phenomenal. Yeah.
Wait, I've got so much coming with the layover. Molly is just this one is gonna be full power Molly, and Nicole too. But the Molly character in the layover is just, I should say, just totally let the links off and just like went all, it's like step by step on steroids. It's just total craziness. It's set in Vegas. It's just, of course, we were not going to shoot in Vegas. We'll cheat it. But I must say, yesterday, and this is kind of an exclusive conversation. Yesterday, me and Kristen and Halo were talking. Halo's my daughter, the writer, with Kristen, my wife, and we were talking about Step to Step, the sequel.
Good. We're coming to that. Don't worry.
Some of the vignettes and the motifs we were talking about literally had me crying. I wish so much that I could share them with you, Jen. They are so huge. Get ready for it. You will never figure out what's coming next and who's the good guy and the bad guy. But literally, my wife is so great because she's such a barometer. We've been married for, I think, 125 years, something like that. And but she's the no BS factor, and she was in tears. She was just like, "Oh my God!" So it's like, yeah, it's got to
you've hit magic when that's happened.
Yeah. Yes. And then it's like, no, and then she's like, "Oh my God, no!" So it's gonna be wonderful. Anyway,
because issues.
I know.
Watching this. And I'm like, yeah.
I know.
And they solve everything, and they all have a nice time at the party, and you're like, yay, happy ending. And I'm like,
we can't give it away.
What's going on? What is she doing? Why? Piper, why? Piper, come back. What are you doing, woman?
And it's so funny because, like, I remember I was writing the scene. Age of Adaline was such a funny story. I ended up writing the entire first act in one.
Wow.
And that on a bottle of red wine one evening. And I remember writing it going, look, this movie will probably never get made. And so I was doing all of the science. And I was saying, like, von Neumann's, like, a theory of the diastereonucleic structures. And I said, at some point, they would probably bring a because I was a new writer. At some point they'll probably bring in a scientist who will correct all this. And I'll never forget, Gary Lucchese sat me down and said, "Sal, I present to you your film." And that first act didn't change one iota, except they changed deoxyribonucleic structures to deoxyribonucleic acid, to DNA. But what I was trying to say is any deoxyribonucleic structure was vulnerable to high energy intrusion and affection, effect, whatever I'm trying to say, not affectation. That's a different word. But anyway, and then the second act is where it took years of back and forth. But then, and the third act, also that one, in third, when she goes, "Pull over. Oh, I don't want to get knifed. That's my sister." And the car stops. From that point on was kind of like in a single burst. It kind of stayed the way it was. But one of those moments was whenever I think to myself, whenever you have a giant coincidence, because remember, Adaline had met the father, and then he met the son. Wait a minute. Out of all the people in the world, what you have to do is you don't avoid it. You say, wait, and what I did, I remember specifically writing Harrison Ford's wife saying, "I don't, wait, I don't understand. How do you know her mother? Like, what's all this then? I mean, how is this possible?" Well, that's Step by Step, the sequel, which really, like, it really talks about your like, what did you do? Why did you do that? Like, what did the, so we don't just like say, oh, like she did this thing. It's more like it becomes a very big issue, and let's talk about it. And why did it happen? What's the underlying reason, and going more into it. So anyway.
Well, good. Well, that's good, because I need there to be a step, two-step. Because you're not leaving it like that, because I was literally shouting at my computer going, "What do you mean?"
What's wrong? Stop
Which
it.
is what you want, isn't it, when you're that deeply involved?
Yes.
I mean, it is utterly brilliant. It is one of my all-time favourite verticals. It's super.
Thank you so much. I'm so we've gotten into just a few press, and I had an interview yesterday, and I had the most flattering commentary. She said, "I was screaming so loud." She goes, "I watched it and then turned around and watched it again. And I was screaming so loud, I was worried one of my neighbors was going to call the police." And I was like, oh my God. So I am so humbled. And I just have to say, Jen, with whatever time we have, I have to say that I so humbly go into this space, knowing that it is a space of already established fans and a community. It really is. But I would put as to my membership in this community, I would offer the fact that I am just as big of a fan as any of you guys. I promised you that I am the biggest Nicole, Seth fan and Haley fan and Molly fan as you guys. I mean, I really I get such a rush by watching, our words get played out into these wonderful, just incredibly talented actors that I feel very humbled that I'm not just saying, "Oh, I'm coming in and I'm going to just like, take the top actors and just do what I want." No. I have great endearing and connection with the group that loves and takes in these kind of stories. I grew up, outside of the conventional world. I was all by myself. I never went to, a high school prom or anything. I was self-taught. I was a very lonely child. And a lot of what I write is just that same child. Adeline is me. It's somebody who's always on the outside looking in. So for me, movies, they were my friends and my family. And when I tell people like, "Oh yeah, I can recite movies," and they're like, "Yeah, but I can too." I'm like, "No, I mean, I can recite movies, like whole movies, like from beginning to end with music and everything, like Blade Runner, Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark, like all of these movies, like somebody says, okay, well then what did he say when he's talking to Sala in the bar? And and then I'll say exactly what he said. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I can see that as a temptation. Then go on then. Go on then.
Yeah. Okay, what did he say? He said, Belloc. Good afternoon, Dr. Jones. I'd kill you right now. Not a very private place for a murder? Well, these Arabs don't care if we kill each other. It's not going to interfere in our business. It was not I who brought the girl into this business. Please sit down before you fall down. And I can do that with movies on and on. I'm just such, it's just what I love.
To ask, kind of going forward, you've given a really good hint because obviously we have Step by Step coming out, which hopefully everyone run, watch it now. Hopefully there'll be a sequel. It's being planned out, and you've mentioned Layover. What's your kind of long-term vision for Super Punchy and how it fits alongside all your other work?
It is my other word. There's a very top secret program that I can't even discuss that I may be doing. That's just huge. I'm just blown away by it. But the minute it becomes, I'll let you know about it. Mm. But I put it right up against everything that I'm going to do. I mean, there's no the demarcation of quality because it's me. I want it's a lot of times Kristen said, I'd say, yeah, Kristen, I have so much work to do. I've got to finish I've got this wonderful timeline love story, this wonderful timeline spec that I'm working with. It's a romantic. I'm so happy with it. And I'll tell Kristen, I'll be like, yeah, I've got so much work to do today. And she'll be like, oh, you poor thing. I mean, do you need some? I'm like, yeah. And meanwhile, I'm like, I'm so happy to be doing what I'm doing. I love doing what I'm doing. We were working. I think I told the story before, but anyway, we were doing the color and I wasn't getting the color quite right. I want it to be bold, but I don't want it to be distracting. I want it to have contrast, but I don't want it to be dark. And the colorist was kind of like looking at me like I was insane. So he was like, could you like maybe give us a guide on what you're looking for? So I sat down one night and I just colored the whole movie frame by frame in Photoshop. Whoa. And I brought it back to them and I hadn't slept. And they were like, are you kidding? You've got the whole thing colored. I said, yes, there's the guides. Color it like that. And we're like,
that's what I meant.
Yeah, this is what I mean. And I don't think you can do that if it's work. If it's something that you consider as work, it's like, oh, God, it's 2:00 in the morning. I'm so tired. For me, I'm like, shit, it's 2:00 in the morning. How did it get like that? So, yeah, that's my overall plan, is to just make interesting stories that are in neon when it comes to like their sauciness. You know what I mean? So everything that I'm thinking of is like, oh, now what if this happened and this happened? Oh, that would be cool. That would be a great vertical. So that it does lend itself to a certain type of storytelling and story. But I'm not giving myself any mandate on like overarching. I just love characters. It's so funny too, because now after like Step by Step, I'm like, I can't say goodbye to these characters. I just can't. There's just no, they must live on. I mean, even like Xavier and her mom, Joyce. I'm like, I have to see them again. I gotta, so yeah.
It's amazing. I just want to ask one final question.
Okay.
So I think one of the scenes that a lot of people will love is the rain scene. I would say that was very much worth everyone coming up with a wet rig and everything, because it looks, I mean, it's kind of iconic, and it was the one that caught my eye in the trailer as well. But for you, what was a favourite scene when you watch back? What's one that just makes your heart leap?
I think here's what makes my heart leap, and I hope you all feel the same way. I feel that moment when he brushes the hair out of her face in episode 7, you suddenly realize, what is this? What are we watching? He's got real feelings. And just that minute that kind of like that incongruent music comes up, like all the music had been up to that time. She goes, you are such a creep. And he grabs her. And I said, Seth, can you just grab her, twist her in the air and put her down? He goes, yeah, no problem. I mean, he's such an athlete. He just like that kind of stuff. And he just did it. And then we're tight. And then he brushes the hair out of her face. For me, because I wanted to match that when he said, not in this lifetime. To me, those small subtleties are literally like lightning bolts of plot of inciting incidents.
Yeah.
You're supposed to have one in a script. I love having many.
Yeah.
That here we are, and now we're in a whole. And right at that moment, we realize not only are we in a whole different path possibility for these characters, we're watching a whole different movie. Spielberg used to say, "Change the goal, change the movie." And it's like, oh, whoa, what did Parker just do? I mean, like, does he really like? So it's those subtle moments where like, and then the other one when Holly says, let's go. And then she goes, yeah, okay, you guys should go, for sure. And he goes, Piper, are you sure? Like that moment where it's just like,
Yeah.
you want me to go?
I just want to say thank you for
Thank you,
seeing
Jen.
the potential,
Thank you. Thank you
creating
so much.
something so
Thank you.
wonderful.
Thank you so much. I think that it's objectively true that if there is an ambassador to this new world, to this new vista, to this new entertainment media, that it's you, Jen. So
Yeah.
they're all right. They can come on. They're okay. It means the world to me. And you can ask Nicole, any of the actors, and I told Nicole about it, and she was like, "Oh my God, I love Jen so much. Tell her hi." It's just like you're having your nod is wonderful, and I thank you.